Hey everyone, it's Istebrak, and I thought I should start making making videos about how I go about producing my sketches. Some people have asked me to record the process, so here I am recording the process. One second. Okay, so how I go about it. The main thing that I do is focus on shapes. Shapes just are the the butter in between the bread, if you know what I mean. What they do is to help you approach the form a lot easier. And you probably hear that a lot, but it's something when something helps you draw better and that efficiently. That thing must be given a lot of attention. Um, I mean, not everything can help you draw as good as shapes can. So shapes need to be given some attention in your development. If you haven't been using shapes, if you haven't been using these kinds of ways of approaching your sketches, you're going to have a difficult time bringing together the form of your sketch. All this sounds really vague, I know, but when we apply it to the sketches, we'll know. We'll understand it in a new light. Okay, so what I mean by shapes. Shapes are, you know what shapes are: squares, triangles, circles, all kinds of polygons. Um, Depending on what you're drawing, you have to know what kind of shape you're using. And a circle can't always be used for a head. Sometimes you need a square or some sort of polygon shape for the head of the character you're drawing, for the body, for the legs, all kinds of stuff. The other thing that I use, not only just shapes, but I use gesture lines. I've talked a lot about gesture lines before in the videos, and if you guys haven't taken a look at those, I really recommend you do. It's hours of information that I've offered you guys. Most of that kind of stuff, I think, people pay for, and I'm just giving it to you for free, because I don't care. Okay, so the next thing that I use, again, are gesture lines. So first it was shapes. So squares, circles, triangles, polygonic thing. And then I use gesture lines. Gesture lines help you as much as shapes do. They're probably the next most important or equally important tool in drawing and sketching. Gesture lines come in C, S, or I, but if you're my student, you'll know that there is X and O at the very end. X and O categorize the kind of energy level in the gesture. It can either be open or closed. The difference between these is massive because if it's an open gesture, some of these lines need to be approached very differently. The C isn't always going to be the same in an open gesture as it is in a closed gesture. And you really have to take your time and observe the kind of gesture you want, whether it's in your head or in a reference page. You have to know what kind of energy level is in it. An energy level this is an outward energy level. It's a burst of energy. Usually the arms and legs are outstretched, some sort of jump, some sort of forward lunge, backward fall, some sort of, not even backward fall, just like some sort of energy that's bursting out. A closed gesture, which can be a backward fall. Someone sitting, lying down, horizontal with the ground. They're really just given into the gravity around them. All of this information here that I'm talking about, I will go in depth with it in the figure drawing book that I'll be releasing soon. So hopefully that'll be done soon because I've been delaying it for a while. I'm very sorry about that. But all of this will be explained very thoroughly in there. But these are the main tools that I use on the daily basis. These are my life. And because the thing is, I know how to draw, but without these, I don't know how to draw. I know that's really retarded, but I don't know how to explain it better. When you know how to draw, you know how to make things look better. But sometimes you don't know how to do that, even though you aren't given the car. You can drive a car, but if you don't have a car, you're not going to be able to show how good you drive, right? So these things are your tools. They are a sculptor can't sculpt without his tools. A painter can't paint without a brush. And these are your tools as art. Art isn't just go into the empty canvas. The canvas isn't your tool. The canvas is just the area. It's like the road on which the driver drives. The tools are the actual 2D tools you're using, because you are a 2D artist, so you are using 2D tools. If you're a 3D modeler, you're using 3D modeling tools such as 3ds Max or whatever. And the real life equivalent, traditional equivalent of that is a sculptor. So the difference between a 3D modeler and a 2D artist digitally is the difference between a sculptor and a painter traditionally. And these are your tools. If you don't know what your tools are, how do you expect to draw anything decent? I'm sorry, that's harsh, but that's the truth. Okay, so now that we've established these very important things, and I feel like if I talk about this for 5 hours, it wouldn't be enough in expressing how important these things are to your daily development as an artist. So, anyways, these are the things that I use. When I go down into drawing a face, sometimes those orc drawings that I used to do, I just throw in a bunch of shapes together simply for the creative sort of free flow, like sketchy hour. And I don't really worry too much about the things that go into the design. I just try to throw shapes together. And this is a very organic looking thing. It looks like a blob of something. And one big difference between my sketches is, well, which is the difference between the shapes that I use, is there is either an organic look to the sketch or a geometric look to the sketch. Sometimes if you look at Pixar drawings or some of the Disney stuff, you'll see that there's a big difference between the shapes that they use. If you look at me and my friend were talking yesterday or a couple days ago about the way they designed the old guy from Up. I forgot his name. He's just a bunch of squares put together. They even talked to the designer behind him, the artistic or the art director, and they said that it's just a bunch of squares, and the little kid is just a bunch of circles. So you can see these tools don't wear off. Don't you grow out of them. You never grow out of these tools. These tools are your tools. These are what you use in your two-dimensional exploration of art. And you have to make sure you're persistent and consistent with your use of these tools. So right now, my use of these tools is very organic. It's got very rounded, curvy edges, and you want to always be aware that you want to always be aware of what you're using, so that your sketches don't always look too organic when they need to be geometric. There always has to be a balance, because whether or not you're using squares, it always has to be a certain bit of curvature to the sketch. And if you're using a lot of circles in your sketch, there has to be a certain degree of architectural edginess to the sketch, or geometric edginess. So, with this guy, and the geometric parts, the squares are for the eyebrow bones. This is what I use. I use a triangle for the nose, as I've taught you before about Bob and Steve. Really easy just to get a hold of the nose. If you draw a triangle, and there's that circle for the tip of the nose. For the mouth, it really just depends on the expression and what he's doing. His age, I usually add some, I don't know, this is a really generic version of my sketches, or like the typical bored or ogre that I draw. But yeah, just a couple of lines here and there to symbolize major mass parts of the face. And then I just go in and just start filling in the blanks and going over, outlining the general head shape, and then everything just falls into place after that. This guy's kind of looking a bit crappy right now. If I do more of these videos, I'll explain, the different kinds of ears that I draw and what they do to the character. Different kinds of eyes that are slanted this way, eyes that are slanted this way, eyes that are sort of on the middle line, and what kind of image they produce for you, what kind of face or expression. So now that I get everything, the lines I've noticed are a bit dark for me. So what I usually do is just get my eraser on 50% or whatever, and just erase some of these lines, so that the weight of my lines isn't just all thrown in at the beginning, that I go back and erase some of the stuff that I don't want to be heavy and just focus on the stuff that I want to be heavy. So One of the things that I want to be heavy, of course, is one of the dark spots that signifies the face that I've taught you guys before. So face has 6 dark spots, the 2 eyes, the 2 nostrils, and the 2 lip corners. If these things are dark in your painting, and these should be the only dark, the darkest area of your face that you draw, the darkest areas, if they are, it will help you produce a face a lot more efficiently than throwing a bunch of shadows around the eyes and one big shadow on the nose and like nothing on the mouth. Just make sure you have this concentrated amount of darkness distributed around the face. Nostril. So I know this sketch is pretty crappy. I'm sorry, it's because I have to do it really fast. I usually do it this fast, but not that fast for the video because I don't want the video to be super long. They are pretty fast, like I go through them pretty quickly, but I can't just sit there detailing it. So this is pretty much what I go through. The shapes, that's your bread and butter. You have to make sure you have these shapes and this kind of stuff. Okay, the next thing are the gesture lines. Gesture lines are when usually used when you're drawing standing characters in a pose. You can use gesture lines for a face, like if you were working, drawing a really massive expression. So like the guy is like really curious and he's like tilting his head. He's like if it's like a dragon or something that you're drawing, you're gonna need a gesture line to map out. The word is map out. This is what gesture lines and shapes do. They map it out for you. How are you supposed to travel around the world of art without a map? You need the map. Okay? Okay. God, my head is buzzing now. So, let's say that your character is like really curious or something. He's like, what? Or like begging or some shit. This gesture line helps you map out that entire area. But usually we use it in poses. And in poses, just depending on the kind of character that you're drawing. Here I was drawing the Naked Sultan, which is a character that likes to crash weddings, wedding receptions, and perform his dance and all. He has his little sultan hat, and he's got a little piece of loincloth or whatever, his little underwear, and he just bashes and crashes. For him, I used very simple gesture lines. I didn't use one large gesture line because he is pretty compact right now. But if I did draw a much longer character, wait a second, sort of like redrawing the Naked Sultan like a different pose, I would have to introduce my gesture lines. This is one large gesture line, sort of like an I shape, CS or I. He's very tall, so I most likely will be using that. It's a very closed gesture, so there won't be much energy burst. Standing character. Standing characters usually are very closed, closed energy movement. Other things that I use, gesture lines, so like the C shape. This is a really good tip for arms. If you guys ever want to draw arms that are like floating or crossing or standing or whatever you're doing with the arms, this little, I don't know what it is. It's like a Roman. Is it like a Roman symbol alphabet or a Greek alphabet? Is that lambda? No, lambda's this. Anyways, this is a shape that I usually use when he's like crossing his arms. Really easy. You just fill in the blanks, and now you have an arm that is crossed. For an arm that is pointing upward, that little bend here just goes away, and then you have the hand. It's really quick. It's for those quick sketches. Excuse me. I don't recommend it for like full-on gesture drawing or figure drawing with all the details and all the shading. I recommend it only in the like really early stages of a sketch. It really helps you just map out where you need to put everything. Sometimes drawing arms that are crossing, you just gotta, if you don't use any kind of supporting line, it's gonna look really stiff. But if you use the curves, you're going to get that curvature of the bone, because bones aren't perfectly straight. They do have curves in them. And it really helps you. And these kinds of little tricks that I learned from myself, I learned them over time, seeing what problems that I had. And after a while, I just said, I just want to know where the arms will be. I don't want to detail them now. I just want to know where they will be. So, like, I just, naturally came up with my own way to do it. You guys can. The more you use these shapes, the more you're going to come up with your own ways of figuring out how to approach a sketch, how to approach drawing. I hope all this helped. I know it's really brief, especially for my style of teaching. I feel like I haven't taught you anything, but I hope it's worked as a sort of introduction and enlightened you maybe on the importance of shapes and lines in your work. I will try to come up with these videos every time I have an opportunity. I feel like it's better to produce shorter videos, frequently whenever I have time than, not producing a video at all because I don't have time to produce hour-long videos. So I hope this helped. Thanks again for watching, guys. If you want to be a part of the class, the website is www.istebrak.wix.com/istebrak. I think I'll link it in the suggestions or the description box. Okay, see you later. Bye, guys.